talking about the availability for the modern data center with Veeam and NetApp. How many of you run NetApp or have run NetApp previously? Okay. So we might have some people familiar with NetApp technologies. That's great. I'm not an expert on NetApp, so if you have questions, I may defer to Luca.
It's easy. Everything starts with Snap.
Yeah.
Oh, Snap.
Not true.
But one of the things, and if you've worked with VMware much, you may have noticed that sometimes when you take a snapshot of a virtual machine utilizing the hypervisor, the snapshot works great, but when you're done with the snapshot and you go to commit the changes, the VM can become unresponsive. And that's because of the commit stage, and it can be a big impact on the virtual infrastructure. It doesn't affect every VM, but it probably affects about 5 to 10% of VMs. Highly transactional. I was talking to Bob earlier. He's got one problem VM that, when he takes a snapshot back up, it really kind of kills the VM. So one of the things that we want to do, and our direction moving forward, is to leverage the power of storage. Storage has built-in, modern storage has built-in snapshot capabilities, doesn't affect the actual virtual machine, doesn't affect the virtual infrastructure, and it gives us the capability to back up more often and recover more quickly, right? RPO, RTO. And you can create the backups now from a storage snapshots up to 20 times faster than the competition. Recover individual items quickly and efficiently from the snapshot. That's part of our Explorer series, and I'll talk about that. And of course, with NetApp, we can actually improve your DR protection by taking a secondary snap, by taking that snap and sending it to a secondary location in the snap vault. So that's leveraging the power of storage snapshots. In terms of platforms supported, with version 7, we rolled out support for the HP line of Store Virtual and Store Serve. With version 8, which is what we're going to be talking about today, it's not released yet. That's why there's an asterisk with a little V8 down here.
I thought that was because we were supposed to drink.
Well, you can have that too if you want.
I could have had a V8.
But NetApp, we'll be introducing NetApp in our version 8. So that's the storage snapshots. Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots, again, is the HP line, as well as NetApp, but also SnapMirror and SnapVault. So being able to recover individual items or VMs from a SnapMirror or SnapVault location. So how does this all work? It's pretty basic. You've got your NetApp FAS series primary storage running VMware, with VMware virtual machines. Use it. Veeam creates a snapshot on that platform, and it backs up from the proxy directly into the backup repository.
So Veeam uses the NetApp APIs to create the snapshot? Is that
Yes. So, but the other part of key technology here, and this is what helps enable the speed, is we don't have to use a proxy ESX server in order to do this. So that means that we don't have to, mount, promote it to a LUN, add it to ESX, resignature, add the VM, then do all the backup. Having that proxy layer in the middle is what destroys change block tracking. Means you have to scan the whole VMDK again and all these other things. So we can do all of this without having to do that. So that means we can leverage VMware's change block tracking. And this is a key technology that VMware came out with. It really,
Whoa.
yes.
So you're leveraging VMware's change block tracking without leveraging the VMware snapshot?
No.
Okay. I'll let you continue.
Okay. It was a good question, though, because how do we leverage CBT without taking a VMware snapshot? The trick is we do take a VMware snapshot. Okay. And if you think about the workflow in terms of a backup operation, we first do our application-aware processing, which is our VSS operations on Windows servers. Once that is complete, we tell VMware to take a snapshot. Once that is complete, then we tell NetApp to take a snapshot. Once the NetApp snapshot is complete, we release the VMware snapshot. So that issue earlier, when I was talking about commit, we don't have that because it's on the VMware snapshot just for a few seconds. And that allows us to leverage change block tracking.
Right, and even with a busy VM, the snapshot dissolution has low overhead.
Yeah. Yes. And that's why we say, because we can leverage change block tracking, it is up to 20% faster than competing solutions, and of course it's patent pending. in terms of the specific way that we do it. And that's where this comes in, no proxy ESXi capabilities.
So with the snapshots you're taking, what kind of data stores do you support? Is it block only, or do you support NFS?
Excellent question. So it's block, iSCSI fiber channel, as well as NFS. And I've got a few slides to address that as well. Because as Luca pointed out, it's like, how do you support NFS if we don't have direct SAN access? So we'll talk about that. One of the interesting things is we just got this yesterday from one of our engineers. So we do have this capability in a private beta with the NetApp Snapshots. And our sales engineers, our systems pre-sales engineers run the private beta with customers and prospects. So this particular customer was already using a competing solution with storage array snapshot integration. They put it head-to-head with Veeam, same VMs, same backup target, as most things being equals could possibly be. Full backup with Veeam and NetApp, 2 hours versus 8 hours. Incremental backup, 35 minutes versus 2 hours. So when we talk about the speed claims, this is, it's definitely coming true in terms of being fast and very efficient. If we take a look at why we're doing this, right? If we take a look at a standard backup operation using a VMware snapshot, this is just a snapshot from a backup job, a Veeam backup job. Backing up this is actually a SQL server. If we look at the time date stamps from creating a snapshot to removing the snapshot, that's 2 hours. Okay, so it's essentially running on a snapshot for 2 hours. It's a SQL server, so there's a lot of transactions going on during that 2 hours. And then you come up to removing the VMware snapshot, the commit phase. In this example, it's already been 27 minutes, and it's still running. It's not even done. And that's what we're trying to get rid of in terms of working with storage snapshots, is that long commit phase of having that snapshot open for so long. So, any questions on the timing and the aspects and why it's important for us to do this? Okay. So that means you can back up more frequently during work hours, even virtual machines with high I/O loads. And of course, it's all about dramatically increasing your recovery point objectives, because now you can back up multiple times during the day. Now, you had a question about NFS. So a known limit is that VMware vStorage APIs for data protection, direct SAN, does not support NFS. Right? It only supports block storage. So VADP only supports block. We need direct SAN access in order to do this operation. And NetApp is famously known for NFS support. Very popular on that side, unless you're using Update 1. And we solved that by essentially creating our own optimized NFS client. So from the proxy server standpoint, the actual thing that creates the backup job means that as long as our proxy can see it, attached to it, then it can be executed on NFS shares. And of course, the NFS client is only available if you have backup from storage snapshots is available and enabled. So this NFS client only comes into play for this specific operation. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. So how do you set all this up? How do you do it? Well, first, you make sure the Veeam proxy, the Veeam backup proxy, can connect directly to the storage, whether that's through fiber channel, iSCSI, or NFS. You register the NetApp array in Veeam console. So you add ONTAP, username, password. It enumerates all your different storage. And then you check a box. So you go into your backup job and you check that box that says use storage snapshots.
That's a particular license level.
Yes.
Correct.
Good point, Bob. Thank you. Backup from storage snapshots is only available in our Enterprise Plus edition. So Veeam backup replication comes in essentially 4 editions. One is free. Then we have Standard, Enterprise, and Enterprise Plus. The storage integration, whether it's NetApp or HP, is only available in Enterprise Plus.
Are you guys going to do last year when you released Enterprise Plus, you offered a free upgrade to Enterprise Plus, which obviously, give away the handles, sell the razors, sort of thing. Yeah, I see what you did there. And, but are you guys doing anything like that around this new functionality again? Or?
We're looking at having some promotions when we launch. Those haven't all been completely decided upon, but we do want to have. We understand that last year not everybody who was on Enterprise may have taken the Enterprise Plus jump, even though we offered it at no additional charge.
Yeah, I did not. For example, I didn't need WAN acceleration, and I don't run HP storage, so it's
correct.
Like,
so we're looking at how can we are there some additional promotions that we can run this year to do it. But in general, anytime a company comes out with a higher level version, a lot of the new cool functionality is going to go in that and not the down level version.
Yeah, true. This is not a criticism.
Yeah.
It's just trying to figure out what's going on.
But again, for backup for storage snapshots, it does require Enterprise Plus. Of course, if the storage snapshot integration does fail for any reason, you can optionally select to fail over to a standard backup, so that way you don't miss your backups at all. Now, another interesting thing, if you know NetApp at all, is that they also have a great technology called SnapMirror and SnapVault. And from the Veeam perspective, I went through how we do the application consistency, VMware Snapshot, the NetApp Snapshot. So what we have here is an application consistent snapshot of the virtual machine. Now, we use that to back up and store it in our repository, but there's also an option that you can select now that you have this application consistent LUN snapshot to go ahead and send that into the SnapVault. So typically, if you're doing snapshots over here, just through NetApp, you're going to get crash consistent snapshots, and you're sending crash consistent snapshots into the vault. With the Veeam integration, one operation backup, we get this, we back it up, and then we can also send it into the vault. So now you have an application consistent snapshot in the SnapVault.
So just so I can be clear, so the Veeam integration does the application consistency for the platforms that you support.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have something like, Exchange on NFS, it doesn't work yet.
Yeah.
But, so you've got multiple VMs, so that was always an issue. So if you've got multiple different VMs running something, I don't know, say SQL Server, and they're all running on one volume, you take a snapshot on that volume, they may not be consistent because you haven't necessarily put all of them in backup mode at the same time. So Veeam will do that for
yes.
you. Yeah. That is very cool. Okay.
So, from our standpoint, we talk about the 3-2-1 rule, which is, you always want 3 copies of your data on 2 different media, with one of them being off-site. So you can actually, by doing this, assuming your SnapVault is off-site, it qualifies for that rule. You're not storing, you're not relying on snapshots on your primary array as a backup mechanism, as a restore mechanism. You've got them stored in a Veeam repository as well on a SnapVault. So that's 2, and 3 copies, 1, 2, 3.
Some people on Twitter are wondering when other storage vendors might be.
We continually evaluate and are working with additional storage vendors. So that's always the $1 million question. It's we announce support for one, and everybody says, why don't you support this other one? We're trying to do it as fast as possible. And with each major release, like version 7 was a major release and version 8 is going to be a major release, we're getting closer and closer to making it easier from our standpoint to add storage vendors without having to have a major release. So we're getting close to the phase where hopefully it won't have to be a year between storage vendors. It'll be closer to a couple of months or so forth where we can just add the integration. But currently all the work is on our side, so that's why it does take a little bit of extra time. We need access to the APIs.
The toolkit for vendors to write their own.
We know that, yeah.
Technically, it's there now.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to reveal the roadmap.
No. We'll get there. But again, the major thing here is the application consistency, because now you've got an application consistent snapshot in the vault, as well as part of the backup.
And you do that through your VSS server and all that stuff?
Yeah, so application consistency, when I talk about that, it is limited to Windows, and it is limited to VSS applications. So SQL, Exchange, Active Directory, anything that's VSS aware will be application consistent as part of that. And we utilize our own VSS, so we're not we're not relying on VMware tools in order to do that. So that means we can do log pruning for Exchange, SQL, which is kind of a big deal when you think about taking snapshots of virtual machines. Okay. And again, the simplicity is if you want it to go to the vault, you check a box. The other nice thing is because we're creating specific snapshots to send to the vault, you can have a specific retention policy for those snapshots. And if you squint really hard, you'll see that we actually add a label to that snapshot as well. So if you go into, if you browse the Snap Vault, you'll actually see the label of the snapshot copy, and you'll know that it was created by Veeam. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible.
Those are still volume snapshots, right?
Pardon?
They're still volume snapshots, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I want to get into though is
Yes.
store. I don't know if you can later slides, because that can be problematic with NetApp Snapshots because it's a continuous block track. If you do a restore, even so, presumably you're doing per VM restores, yeah, or part data restores. So once you do that, you actually, depending on how you do that, it will put the new data. It looks like new data inside the snapshot. So your snapshots can get quite large, depending on how much data you're restoring.
Mm-hmm.
So can we talk about that a bit, or if you've got some more stuff later on?
So in terms of if I write the VM, so if I do a restore from the backup repository back onto the LUN where it had originally been, but we'll grow the snapshot, right? Because it's all new data.
Yep.
There's not much we can do in that regard, just because, just like us, if you were to take a VM and run like check disk or something on it and change all the blocks, it would be another full backup for us.
Yep.
So it's that block level tracking changing. If all the blocks change, they all get added back into the snapshot.
So you still have that problem.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. But what is the granularity of the restore that you're able to do?
So granular restore, it's like you know exactly what I'm about ready to talk about. It's the segue, right? So let's talk about something else. So far, everything I've been talking about is backing up from these storage snapshots, the performance gains you get, multiple backups, RTOs, RPOs, all that fun stuff. But what about recovering from storage snapshots? Again, NetApp, we've got fantastic snapshot capability, a very efficient storage capability, right? Block level incremental changes in their snapshots, so your snapshots aren't as big as your primary LUNs and all that type of stuff. So NetApp, great technology on snapshots. And Veeam has great technology on recoverability, right? We can do file level recovery of 17 different file systems. We've got item level restore for Exchange, Active Directory, SharePoint, some others upcoming. Rick's going to talk about.
And the file system.
Yeah, and the file systems. And then we've got support for NetApp, Snapshot, SnapMirror, and SnapVault. So what's that mean? Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots. This is all about recovering from a storage snapshot. This is if you look at it from a feature list standpoint, this is a completely different feature than what I was talking about with backup from storage snapshots. So Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots is a standalone feature, all on its own. And the idea here is you may already be taking snapshots on your NetApp array. Right? You've done it through that interface. You're taking snapshots every hour, every 15 minutes, however often. But you need to recover something from that. And that's where Veeam comes in. So Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots allows you to do granular or full VM recovery from those snapshots. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Part of the interesting thing about the Explorer for storage snapshots is this is a feature that is included in Veeam Backup Free Edition. Okay, so previously, Backup from Storage Snapshots Enterprise Plus, license level required. To recover from a storage snapshot is in the free edition. So this means if you have NetApp storage and you already have it set up today to create snapshots, once version 8 is released, you'll be able to download the free edition, install it on a Windows box, add your NetApp ONTAP username, password. It'll show up in our interface. We'll enumerate the snapshots that are already there on the array. You can click on a VM, right-click, recover. You can do any of these recovery operations. all without purchasing anything from Veeam. So, and you get, and again, it's the full VM, including instant VM recovery. So we talk about instant VM recovery usually with vPower, running it from backup, but instant VM recovery also works from a storage snapshot. Guest files, individual from 17 different file systems, Exchange, SharePoint, Active Directory, others. And this is, again, all included in the free edition. So that means recovery point objectives of the snapshots, right, with the fast recovery time of Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots. And it is supported across the primary array on FAS as well as SnapMirror and SnapVault.
I got a bizarre question.
Yes?
Would Veeam Explorer allow me to do item-level recovery from a snapshot of an Exchange server that wasn't virtualized?
No.
But it would.
Oh, wait. Hang on. I answered too quickly.
Get to the Exchange topic yet.
On the, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
You said Exchange, so Exchange, yes, because Veeam Explorer for Exchange can restore from any offline Exchange database file.
Okay, so now you're giving away item-level recovery from Exchange that our friends at OnTrack get $2,500 for.
We've been giving it away for almost 2 years.
Yeah, but only for virtualized Exchange servers.
No, it's always been any offline Exchange database.
Anybody who knows how to redirect a storage snapshot, I've had a lot of aha moments at the booth. I mean, we don't document it, but the enlightened few
Well,
partake.
thank you for granting me enlightenment.
Yeah, you can use it on any database,
Yep.
physical or virtual.
Yep. And that's the same for SharePoint,
Yep.
and sort of the same for Active Directory.
It's not the intended use case,
Correct.
No, but
But it just works.
but it's there.
it is one of those, you know, parts of my body are hanging out and you managed to save them.
I'm not touching that.
I always knew you were a wise man.
And yet he keeps coming back to see you.
Actually, he keeps coming back to see plankers.
Yeah.
From an interface standpoint, again, once you add ONTAP into our interface, we enumerate what's going on there. Again, it's a little blurry, but you click on a LUN and it shows all the snaps that are there. You click on, and we enumerate the VMs that are there. All you got to do is right-click on the VM. There's all your recovery options. So again, even if you don't have Veeam installed, once version 8 is released, probably in the time it takes you to download, do an install, add it, less than an hour, and you're recovering from NetApp snapshots that you may have taken 5 minutes ago, or you may have taken 5 weeks ago if it's in the SnapMirror or SnapVault. Yes?
2 questions. One is, do you know if there are interaction with Snap Manager, so problems, because also Snap Manager can take, NetApp Snap Manager can take a lot of snapshots and copies and whatever. So if I want to know if your schedule can be compromised in some way from Snap Manager or not. And the second one is, so you are using APIs. They are, I think, totally compatible from 7 to 8, but
7 to 8 of what?
they're
ONTAP?
ONTAP.
Yeah.
But do you have a compatibility list or something?
We have a list.
Yeah, I have a slide, a compatibility slide coming up, but it's ONTAP 8.1 and above. So there is that. It's 7 mode or cluster mode. So we support both of those. In terms of the scheduling and the snapshots, the Veeam Explorer functionality doesn't touch scheduling. All right, so scheduling on this portion here is handled through ONTAP. We're not touching it on the Explorer portion. On the backup portion, we do tell the API when we're doing a backup, we do tell the API to initiate a snapshot, and I believe we have some controls in there to make sure it doesn't conflict with a snapshot operation already in place. Yep. So and the API is smart enough to know not to collide. But this Explorer functionality does not touch scheduling at all.
Yeah.
We're just enumerating what's already there.
Yeah.
And you don't have any ability to delete snapshots or anything like that?
No.
Yeah, so you're not managing snapshots, you're just recovering from them.
Correct, we're just recovering from it. And on the VMware platform, as you had kind of, that can be one of the most difficult aspects, is how do I get an individual file out of this VM that's on a snapshot on a VMFS, inside a VM on a VMFS volume. You can do it today manually with a lot of steps. But with Veeam Explorer, we automate all those steps and clean up afterwards.
When you say item recovery for Exchange, you're actually talking emails as well as
Yes.
email folders?
Yes.
Yep.
Email items, folders, mailboxes, calendar items, contacts.
What exactly is a SharePoint item?
SharePoint item?
A document.
Well, no.
It's a database blob, technically.
Yeah.
Blob, okay.
Yeah, but it's reconstructed to item.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that when I hit it.
Yeah.
And the SharePoint supports SQL Server as well in that respect?
That's where it runs. It's the
Yeah.
only database that can hold that blob. Is
Right, right.
And Rick's going to go into detail on SharePoint, Exchange, and others when he comes up.
What did he do wrong? What did he do wrong?
Who, Rick?
Yeah.
He drew the short straw.
Okay.
Haven't you known Rick long enough to know?
Well,
But in answer to the
Hold on,
questions, system requirements, right? ONTAP 8.1 or later. Connectivity, we already talked about that, NFS or block. 7 mode and cluster. And LUN cloning. And this is kind of an interesting one. Traditional or flex clone. So if you know NetApp, you know that this is an extra licensing level, right? This is not. We support both. We recommend flex clone, but traditional clone will work for backup from storage snapshots, as well as Veeam Explorer for storage snapshots. So both of those work.
Yeah, again, flex clone is an so you get a lot of other stuff cloned
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, flex clone. Again, that's why we recommend flex clone. You do get more capabilities on that. Any other questions on our NetApp?
And so your configuration supports full clustering, and multiple NetApp cluster, server clusters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it all gets enumerated.
Through on command.
Yep. And shows up, like I said, it shows up in our interface. So.
So when you're saying, when you do the setup and say, well, I want to take snap vaults or snap mirrors or whatever that is, so you're just driving through the ONTAP SAPI interface or whatever they use nowadays to tell NetApp basically to set up that relationship between snap vault source and target or snap mirror source and target.
Mm-hmm.
So that just gets added into the internal NetApp schedule.
The snap vault is already configured on NetApp. We don't configure the snap vault. You need to have a snap vault already in place. We see the snap vault, and we use it.
Okay, but in the setup, you said that there's a certain retention number.
Correct.
Yes.
You do. Yeah.
But that's only for ones we control.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the ones that you control, how is that control managed? So the schedule on a NetApp is there's an internal scheduler that runs it, unless you're running the operations manager. Is another question I wanted to ask about. So if you've got that, so if you are in control, are you delegating the scheduling to the controller itself, and it just gets added into the list of snapshots that's already being run? Or is it run from the Veeam?
Basically, our own snap vault is just like taking not a scheduled snap vault, but we create an on request snap vault addition. Just like going to the console and requesting a new snap vault operation outside of the schedule that already exists on the NetApp.
So it's from Veeam.
Yeah.
So it's from Veeam.
Yeah.
Okay, so Veeam is the scheduler.
But then do we do the delete? I think what you're asking is we say 14-day retention policy.
Yeah.
Is it Veeam that goes in and does the delete, or is that part of the operation that when we create the snap to give it that attribute that says delete this in 14 days so the NetApp snap mirror scheduler deletes it?
That's part of what I was asking, yeah.
Excellent question.
This depends, for example, on the capability that you have. We add an additional restore point inside your already existing snap vault, and the removal of the snap vault, it depends on how you already configure the snap vault. So we are not touching the removal of these restore points.
But what if I haven't got a SnapVault relationship and I'm creating it with Veeam?
No, you don't create the relationship with Veeam. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You already you configure the SnapVault on NetApp.
Yep.
We find the SnapVault already existing,
Yep.
and we use it
Okay.
to add
If I've already set
additional
up the
points.
relationship with a certain retention points and scheduling time and all of that sort of stuff, why would I set 15 days retention in
Because this is about our own copies inside the SnapVault.
Because it's not part of the scheduled vaulting that's controlled within
Yep.
NetApp, right? So
So you trigger a SnapVault or
we trigger a manual snap vault.
Yep.
But
so snapshot, SnapVault. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. How does it go away? Because if you keep it there and if there's any kind of
It's about the retention point that we set in the configuration.
yeah, it's the retention. But who does the deletion? I think is what your question is. Do we pass that attribute to NetApp and say, create this manual snapshot and tell NetApp to delete it after this many days?
I think this.
Or after that many days, do we actually go in and delete it ourselves?
Yeah.
I think that is after, at the beginning of every backup operation that we do, we check the existence of the already SnapVaults that we created. And as soon as you reached, for example, the 14 restore point that we set up,
Yep.
you delete the latest one. We delete the latest one.
We delete it.
Okay,
So
we request to NetApp to remove the latest one, so we can add our latest one. So we go on keeping 14 of our restore points.
Yeah, but Veeam start.
Okay.
Veeam triggers it.
Yep.
Yep.
Veeam trigger.
So,
it.
okay, so it's Veeam triggers on
Yes.
because so for a snap mirror, that's one of the reasons I want to ask is because there's a limit to how many snap mirrors you can run simultaneously. Does this setup of snap mirror affect the total number that you're running on the NetApp?
On Snap Mirror, we're not triggering anything with Snap Mirror.
Okay.
Only Snap Vault.
Only SnapVault.
We read the Snap Mirror content.
You can read it. But
You can read it for recovery, but we're not. When we do the backup operation, we're not initiating a Snap Mirror.
Okay. So
you. We essentially create it, do what we need to do, and then we delete it. But it doesn't go in the mirror, but it can go into the vault.
Okay.
If you're not using SnapVault, we only create a temporary snapshot on the primary array, do our own backup operation, and then we request NetApp to delete the snapshot.
Okay, so you wouldn't be, so that sounds like you wouldn't easily be able to support a configuration where you have a primary site, secondary site, Snap Mirror goes across to the alternate site, and you take Snap Vaults at the remote site to do off-site backup. I've seen configurations like that because that way you get dedupe and a whole bunch of other things that is nice on NetApp. So you could do the restore by doing a browse, but you wouldn't be able to control that Snap Vault type relationship. Okay.
Because the relationship would be with the mirror and not with the primary. So it's a great question.
Noted.
Okay.
Noted.
Noted. Yes. Update your blog post. Okay. Other questions specific to working with storage snapshots or NetApp specifically?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
One last thing. Operations manager. Do you get in the way? Is any?
We call directly the API of the ONTAP.
Okay. So operations manager can just keep doing its thing, and you. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Okay. Well, I think. Do you want to learn more? We have a dedicated page. If you want a nice step-by-step how to test this out in your own environment utilizing the...
you can use the Edge device.
ONTAP Edge.
Yeah. It's supported too.
Yeah, there's a deep dive guide. Luca also did a blog post talking about it, so there's more information there. Feel free.
And you can ask for being involved in private beta if you want.
Correct. Yeah, if you feel like you want to be in the private beta, talk to us or talk to your primary pre-sales engineer or Veeam partner, and we'll get you set up. All right. Well, thank you very much.